Okay, so we're on. Again, regular IKEA class, because I keep forgetting ordering a mug with my name on it, but I already found a place where I want to order the mug, and it's going to be nice. It's going to be good. Like a Donald Trump. All right, so what you're seeing here is a photograph that I've not recently taken, but I have edited, and I don't know if this is actually going to be shown on my Instagram page. I have shown it to a couple of people that I value their opinion very, very much, and they well, the feelings are good, but they all say it doesn't look like you, and being biased, they would prefer to see the work that I do instead of seeing something a little bit new. And I completely agree, but the problem is that I have taken the photograph of this like a playhouse, toy house for kids. It was a playhouse built out of brick outside a summer house in Rome, and I thought it would be nice to somehow take photographs in that house or outside that house. And I've tried a few positions that I was behind the house, and my assistant was shooting it that I was I need a new assistant, I think, because this one was holding the camera so crooked that I cannot really work with these images. But because it was very cold and it was windy, I didn't want to do any more shooting that day. And I think it was the last day as well. The weather conditions, it was just miserable a little bit, and bit of rain, bit of shine, and cold in general, very, very windy. But I did manage to take some few photos. So this was one of them. This was one of them. There are two pictures here and some overlays, but me sitting kind of like sitting out and coming out is just a hand and it's just a leg that was really visible. I tried somehow that I was hanging over that, and didn't really work, and it was, not to mention there was a lot of spiders and other things in that little house, but the house was quite nice. There are some few things that I haven't really touched up, but I don't think they're that visible anyway. So, and like I said, I may not even post the photograph. But anyways, I've been rambling now for 3 minutes, so let's get to the explaining process of how I edited the photograph. So let's minimize that. So I started with this. I started just with a photo, because so what I did when we were finished, or I was finished with photographing myself, I simply took my camera, and I started snapping photos of the surroundings. So I have a little bit of water like a swamp that I wanted to use, but I didn't. I would definitely want to lie down in that swamp, but who would have gone to that swamp with me if not Juls 2.0? There were absolutely no volunteers. So I took this photo, and I took many other photos, but I chose this one, and I thought maybe if somehow I can use this photograph and incorporate the other one in it, then why not? So I used this one. So first, what I did, I got this giant screen just recently, a couple of weeks ago, high definition. So I don't know how well you can see it, but it's gigantic, and everything is so small for right now, unlike on the other screen. So even for me, it's a little bit difficult to see the little icons on Photoshop. But will explain. So, okay, so I took this photograph and I thought if I can incorporate these two photographs together and somehow make it work, then I chose this one as my background. It's stupid to go and photograph, and I love myself on this stupid level, because I usually take these photos where there's a lot of branches, and I think if I can edit these branches somehow, you know, one by one, and sit for 4 days on my ass and do that, then why not? It's excruciating, trust me. But I like a good challenge. But I need to be in the right mindset. So again, background, so I create a layer so I can work in the Photoshop without distractions. So first what I did is, of course, Control J, and we're creating a layer. Then what I did, and I added the photograph of, not the whole photograph, but only a part of the photograph. And as I can see, as I'm clicking, not clicking, you probably can see it as well. Let me just show you. Right over here, there were some things that were not exactly removed, but it doesn't matter because they disappeared anyways. So what I did, I took a photograph only, and then I removed the entire background. Here is a little bit of the background. Here's a little bit of the background. So as I click again, you'll see. What is it? Yeah, I think you can notice a little fluctuations, but that's okay because they have disappeared anyways. Yeah. So I took the photograph and I edited in. I don't know if we'll be able to see. No. Yeah, basically. That's basically what I took from the old photo, from the other photograph. It was the whole thing around trees and everything. So I edited only enough that I could see the house being a little bit behind the branches and behind this big branch. First, initially, the house was a little bit down. It was a little bit bigger, so the back of the house was over the branch, so it was kind of like the branch was behind it, and it was a lot more details right over here, but I was very tired and I messed something up and I started from scratch. So and that worked out fine because then I didn't have to really edit so much. So I decided that this is going to be it, and this is going to be the position of the house that I want. So this was my number one, and of course, you know, I did work on some sort of, you know, highlights in between on my leg and my arm. I don't know if you can notice. Maybe we can notice there's a little bit of my head visible here. Yeah, it's pretty much my head and my hair, which is now a little bit shorter. So that was it. Actually, the color was a little bit different. It was something hideous. And then, you know, I needed to kind of work on the door because the door is nice and painted original. Let me just maybe move it a little bit. So what I did, I took one of my overlays and I basically added an overlay and I played with opacity, and I think it's at opacity is at 43%. So I cannot see on this first screen that I am recording from OBS, but I can see it in the big one. But it's huge and the icons are so tiny, so it's not so easy to see it anymore. So opacity is at 43% and fill is at 100%. Yeah, it could have been a little bit darker, but again, I wasn't entirely finished with the entire image either. But there is a little bit of highlight here because there were two different times 2 different days, 2 different times of the hour. I tried to match it a little bit, but yeah. So then I was wondering what else I can do, and I have always have my signature blue in my head. So I thought either a very dark forest, really like a Grim Reaper maybe of some kind, darkness, and not Hansel and Gretel, because I mean, for obvious reasons, this is not Hansel and Gretel type. Let me just get my music up. I wasn't going for that anyhow. I was going a little bit for something stormy, something eerie, and so I found blue a little bit overly saturated, I think. Blue overlay with textures as well. So I added that, and that was it. But of course the overlay, as you remember from my previous videos, is basically like a photograph of a wall. So it doesn't have, I mean, it covers 100%. It covers everything 100%. As you can see here in the corner, it's covering the picture 100%. So what I had to do, let me just see if we can find it. Yes. So over here I have opacity. I put my brush. So I created a layer mask. You already know that. And then clicked on a brush right here on the brush tool. And what you do, you set your how big you want the brush, and then I experimented a little bit with just how much and what I want to remove and what I want to leave. So I knew that a little bit around here needs to be removed, all those, but not too much, because the background doesn't really match. The background is behind the trees is nothing but white sky, or rather bright sky, and behind there was some sort of building. Yeah. So I knew that something was supposed to have been covered, but not everything. So I set my opacity. I was experimenting very much, so a little bit more, a little bit less, but in the end the opacity is at 30% and the flow is at 15%. And I of course took a big brush, not like this one, small one, although of course you can as well, and just kind of erase everything, start erasing. But I like to work with these, when you saw at the beginning, with like a big brush like this one. And then you just kind of give a little bit, so we can go a little bit here. As you can see, kind of reveal a little bit at a time, but not too much. Because you don't really want to go too strong on the image. You want to just a little bit at a time, really a little bit at a time. And then that way you can see just how much you want to reveal, how happy you are with the image. And then you can, for example, reveal here a little bit more, and then a little bit less around here, but just enough to give like a eerie look. So I have experimented, and this is what I left, and this is what I was satisfied with. I mean, of course, I was going in and out a little bit with my brush, and a little bit over here, and a little bit less here, and I was changing also. You can see right over here, for example, is a little bit like a stronger. So that's what that's over here as well. And of course over here on myself, I changed the brush size, so I could just focus on the main points that I wanted to show a little bit. So do experiment. Okay. So that was the blue layer overall. Then I went with another layer. This was the last layer. So I thought that if we're gonna have a little bit stormy weather, so why not just kind of add some, I mean, I didn't want rain, because again, it's not really wet. There's nothing like indicating that it's rain, and when you do have rain, it should be perhaps some things that should be, you know, already a little bit damp on the either the floor, the house maybe. And I didn't want to play around with that any longer. So what I did is I added some particles, as if the particles were you know, part of the environment, kind of, you know, floating around, and it gave a little bit small illusion that the particles, because the particles are moving, as you can see, they're not like over here, they're a little bit like they're already going somewhere on some direction, so they're not all round, they're already kind of like over here, and this one, like they're already going some sort of direction, left to right, right to left, however it suits you, top to bottom. And then of course the opacity, again, let me check. Okay, opacity right in here is at 43%. So again, I wanted to experiment a little bit. So let me bring it down to 100%, and you can see the difference. So 100% is a little bit too much. I felt like it was too strong, completely too strong, and I don't really want to have it so strong. So I turned it down to 43%, and let me just again, and I thought that works better, so it's a little bit, you know, a little bit more eerie. And then of course, as I had to, and I don't ask me what I used later in Lightroom, but I did put it in Lightroom. Of course, I did use Square. I added a little bit here, like a darkish, a little bit darker on both sides, on those sides. I wanted to have that little bit more feel, and then I put it in Lightroom. Of course, the thing is that I don't need Lightroom per se to work with light, because I can, you know, I can either separately everything do in curve, or I can convert everything to Smart Object or not, and then just work with take everything together and then work with the light in Photoshop, which is better in my opinion, because you have Lightroom in Photoshop already, and then you have everything is combined. But because I have my presets that I showed you before, I'm a little bit lazy. No, trust me, I spent so much time on this image, creating this image, that I felt like I think I deserve a break. So this is what I did. I chose the preset that suits me the best. I played a little bit around with other things, just gently, you know, really gently with exposure and contrast. And I settled for this kind of washed out, kind of grayish, but still washed out blue. And I was pretty happy with the result itself. The only thing that I really wanted to a little bit have is maybe some more branches on this side, but yeah, but the photographs weren't really that kind with so many branches. I could have moved it a little bit differently, and could have been also this way. I can always experiment. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to post this particular photograph on Instagram, like I explained already before, but I am very happy with the result itself. Yeah, especially with the darker edges, and I made it square. I didn't order print yet. I ordered other prints, but if I order a print of this one, I think it's going to be only one copy, and just going to be hanging in my place to yeah, decorate a little bit with creepiness. I don't know. Let's see about that. But overall I am satisfied with the editing process itself, because it was very difficult to in general figure out just what I want to do, and with the pictures that I took. So I hope that helps and inspires you to experiment a little bit in Photoshop. And for other content, also feel free to visit my Instagram page and, as always, my website.